So being insignificant, interested in the cosmos, at the same time helping people to get there positively, being different, quirkiness, and reverse it so you can spread your work into the world. That's what Mark Whitehand is doing. Also a father of 3 sensitive boys, and he's sharing so much about fatherhood, um, in the way how he helps people. So just check out his social media and follow him, because he does a lot of live videos that you might be interested in. And for now, I will read aloud his bio, and then you can maybe join in this journey. So, by the way, Mark asked me to write his bio. So, remember this. Although Mark has worked with the grants in the industry, he would like you to know that he would describe himself as the human being Mark. He deeply realizes all too well that life is an ongoing, self-learning, original. Mark likes to keep his life authentic, raw, and simple, which is not as simple as it sounds. And as a sensitive husband and father on Crocs, he values a down-to-earth pace whilst simultaneously exploring and appreciating the cosmos in its full glory. Hundreds have become visible in the world through his unique approach, not by telling other people what to do, and meanwhile showing them that how by walking the Jeff alongside him. You have to follow his social media in order to know what I mean. Because he felt different for so long in his own life as a sensitive person, he now also recognizes specific talented quirkiness in other people and reverses it into their biggest asset on camera without any BS. And Mark will be sharing about his personal journey. So here is Mark Whitehand. But I'm curious, where did the fascination for the cosmos started?
Oh God, right. I've always been interested in space. Remember coming home from school, must be primary school, so maybe somewhere between maybe 7 and 10, something like that, and saw the first space shuttle launch on TV, like live on the news. It was being broadcast, and I was like, wow, that's the first, because prior to that, I didn't really know space travel was a thing, and it was the first shuttle launch. So yeah, I'm just interested in space, and I was a fan of Star Wars, and you know, I went to Star Wars when it first came out, you know, like the original sort of film with my dad, and I think it was only about the 3rd film I'd ever seen. So to see that as your 3rd film, I just fell in love. I had all the toys and everything. So space has been a constant thing. So any kind of sci-fi I would look at, and then if you fast forward 30 years and you start having a build-up of 10 years of working on your inner game, I think it's a natural, you naturally end up there. So you start looking at yourself, you start looking at mindset, usually the first way in, and then when you get into mindset, you realize there's something else. It's not just your mind, and then there's the emotions, and then it's like, which avenue are you going to go down? Is it going to be like woo-woo and soul, or is it going to be more, you know, mysticism and the Indian side of things? And it's like, well, I didn't really choose any of that. You know, it was just a natural sort of progression. And then you start to ask, once you start going around the deeper stuff, you start to get exposed to things like meditation and it's like separating your mind and your body and your emotions from yourself, and you become conscious and you go like, yeah, how have I got in here? Like, what? Oh yeah, damn, that's a thing. And you recognize that you're separate to your thoughts. You go, oh shit, that becomes a real issue, because you're like, well, who am I then? And then I think once you start asking those questions of who am I, you start ending up out there. You start asking, well, where did we come from? And the natural progression is you either go completely you know, in one direction, which is made up and spiritual and woo and all of that kind of stuff. And is any of that true? And you can gravitate to the science. And I did both. Yeah, I think I just glued both together. I was fascinated with both of those because I needed something to anchor onto, and I needed something to answer these questions. And the fact is, you don't get any answers. That's the thing. No, nobody knows. You know, we know more about Mars than we do consciousness. You know, it's like crazy. Mars is miles away. You know, we know more about the depth of the bottom of the ocean than we do the bit between our ears.
Yeah,
you know, and how are we in here? You know, like what does that mean? You know, for most people, they can't hold that question. What do you mean? I'm just my mind, aren't I? If you say so, yeah. But for others, they've realized that they're not. That, you know, there's a mind, there's emotions, there's your body, your meat bag, you know, and then there's you looking at all three all the time, consistently, even when you're asleep. And I'm just on the beginning of all of that, really. I'd like, you know, mid-40s, and I've only just arrived here. It's like, shit, how did I not know any of this? But then as you start to let it in, you realize you've been looking at this for a long time in just little steps and little stages, right back to teens, staring in my mum's bathroom mirror and just going like, is that me? I'm just looking at my face and going like, God, is that what people see? Is this the guy that shows up when they're talking with people? Because you don't look at yourself, and there was no mobile phones then, and you went selfie in every 5 minutes, so you never really saw yourself, you know.
Yeah.
And then I remember just staring at myself in the mirror and thinking, I'm in that. How did I get in there? And I had no way of answering that question, or I just thought I was going a bit bonkers, so I just carried on with my day and just let that be. And then, you know, fast forward 10 years, another 10 years. I think most people's, you know, experiences of it all are a bit like that. You know, it's if you've got deep problems inside that are bugging you and challenging you, you can pretty much put them all down to your mindset's going a bit fucked up, and it's linking to your emotions, and that's all that's happening. And unless you are biologically not quite wired correctly, or the chemicals aren't mixing correctly, which, you know, like people have problems, you know, there's like the brains aren't quite right, or the chemical mixes are all a little bit off, and it causes people no ends of challenge. If that's not happening, and you're, what, for want of a better phrase, just standard normal kind of human being, I just think most mindsets bullshit, and I think most of the emotional sort of stuff is just bullshit once you're able to separate. You just see right through NLP, cognitive behavioral therapy, psychology. Just look at it all and go, "Oh Jesus, what was I pissing around over there for?" And most of it just seems nonsense once you arrive, you know. And then you go, "But is it nonsense? It's helped me in the past." And it's like, once you get out your mind and once you detach yourself from your emotions, you just realize that they're physical. They're just physical things. It's just electricity and chemicals running the you know, this brain. Electricity and chemicals running the feelings and the emotions inside, and there's something else watching that happen, and that's you. And I'm like, God, this is a trip. How do you get your head around this? But life becomes way simpler real quick. You know, you can start to see through things really quickly. So I don't know, but just natural gravitation towards this. I used to think meditation was just a load of bullshit. I still do to some degree. It's like, I've just got out of bed and now I've got to sit here and go, I've just been asleep. Why do I need to do this again? I couldn't get my head around it. I was like, what the fuck am I doing this for? And really, meditation isn't to sit there and sort of go deep. It's to do it moment by moment. You know, my children were just, I was supposed to walk the dog this morning. I never took it out. And then I've had a big long call this morning, and my son was trying to hoover the hallway. And I said, no, don't do it. I said, I've got this call to do. Do it in 10 minutes when I'm done. And 3 hours later, I'm still on the call, right? And I went for lunch just now, just before this call, and I said, Dad, you said you were going to walk the dog. You said you were going to be 10 minutes on your call. And I could feel my emotions starting to go, fuck off. What's it got to do with you? Like, I run my day as I want. I don't answer to you. But they're looking for, there's a part of me that's reacting to that, not responding. And I just felt like saying, who are you to tell me what to do? Like, I run my day as I want to do it. I could feel him starting to bite, start to come out. And I'm like, dude, you're not your mind. You're not your emotions. And I'm about to give my kids a terrible experience. And I'm inside watching it going, what are you doing? But like, you're going to let this happen right now? So I went over to him, I said, listen, boys, I said, I have to be real flexible with my day. I've worked really hard for my day to be how I want to do it. If I don't walk the dog at the first thing, or if you don't get to Hoover, it's no big deal. Just understand that sometimes daddy has to be flexible. And sat down and had my dinner, and it's like, I said, I don't have to explain it to you boys. You just need to appreciate that. I appreciate your point of view, and I know what you're looking for. You're looking for dad to keep to his word. I said, but I have to be flexible sometimes, and sometimes I'll say I'm going to do something and I won't because something else is more important, and you're constantly juggling priorities. So I've got 3 busy businesses, family, myself, just everything else that goes with it. It's busy. You're always making decisions, and because I work from home, that stuff's under a microscope. I won't give it a second. I won't give it a second if I had an office that wasn't at home. It just that I just get on with my day and get productive, and I'll choose what's right based on priorities. Whereas when the kids are seeing it, they're constantly looking for me to be in alignment with what I said I was going to do. And I said, yeah, I'll say some things and then I won't do them because I'm having to juggle priorities. That's my work mode, And it's I think they're looking for something in themselves. Well, should I do that? So yeah, it's just. Eventually, I've been teaching them a little bit about space all the time so they can get perspective. So it's very difficult because you realize once you start opening this up, you scare your children to death. Once you start telling them the sun's going to run out of fuel and then we're fucked. You don't want a child trying to deal with existential dread when they're 10 years old. So I don't really go if I'm like watching a YouTube video with them or if I'm talking with them about it, I don't go down that route. And I've looked anyway, and the sun's got about 50 million years to go. So, well, whatever it is, 50 billion, I think it is, years to go. So there's plenty of time. Like whether humans survive that long, we shall see,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's once I go out there, I'm fascinated by it. It's just like life down here is just easy. Once you start thinking out there and thinking about that stuff and you start playing little games with yourself, you just start chuckling all the time. It's like, what's the point? My screensaver on my phone is actually the Pale Blue Dot by Carl Sagan. Yeah, just there. That's Earth suspended in a sunbeam.
Yeah.
And it's just a constant reminder of me. It's like, that's how insignificant we are in the big scheme of things. That's Earth, from X amount of millions and millions of miles away from Voyager 1, turning around and taking a photograph, and it's like, you look at the shit show that's going on in the world and it's like, get some perspective. We're on a tiny little speck in this vastness. If you watch a couple of YouTube videos to try and get your head around some of the numbers of how big this place is, and you just like, people arguing on the planet is like 2 fleas arguing over who owns the dog. It's like, the fucking what? You got this opportunity to have a great life and experience this human side of things, and here we are arguing over blue or red, that team or this team. It's like, what a way to live. What a joke of a way to live. It genuinely is. It's just like, all the problems could be solved tomorrow if people had that level of perspective, but they don't want that level of perspective. There's a psychology side to things where people are inherently selfish. And that can be good and bad. And we can judge that as good and bad. Some people do it in a way which serves, the good of humanity, and some don't. That's just how it is. I don't even like to sort of judge now as good or bad. It's like, hey, they're just doing what they're doing. We're like, carry on like this, we're not going to make it. I just sort of chuckle to myself, like, we won't make it as humans. Great. Well done, well played. I mean, what's the date? The 15th of February. I was just listening to Elon Musk's interview yesterday with Joe Rogan. And it's his 3rd time on Joe's podcast. And they really got into some sustainable energy stuff. And I'm not a big climate change kind of person, but they were talking about it. And Elon Musk, for me, I'm 9 hours into that guy now. He's done 3-hour interviews with Joe, best part of. And I like to think in my day job, I'm good at getting a handle on someone's character. And Elon Musk seems like a child to me. He seems really sincere in everything that he's saying. There's no richest man in the world, so there's no reason for him to bullshit. Like who gets out of bed and says, I'll fix the problem of the climate without the help of a government or alignment with them? He just says, I'll put my own time, energy, and money into this We need to become an interplanetary species if humanity is going to survive. Who the fuck thinks like this? You know, like, and we also need to find sustainable fuels. Otherwise, we're done. We're going back to the Stone Age. Who gets out of bed and then just makes more impact than anybody else do that? Like one guy, you've got to go like, Jesus, this guy's strange. And he was sort of summing up climate change. And he says, yeah. And you can listen to, oh, you like, and he just said, just put a tax on carbon. Don't make the oil and gas industry the demons. He says, we need them. We need them right now while we make the transition. And he says, and if you look back at any economy, put a little tax on it and it sorts it out. You have a price on it, then everybody understands it, and then we can make the transition and everybody can win. I was like, why is this guy not in charge of that? You know, and what are the rest of the humans doing? Fucking it up, pissing around with it all, fucking it up, agendas, selfishness, whatnot. And he's there just getting on with it. And I'm like, yeah, maybe we're not going to make it. and I say that with just utter jest. You know, I just laugh at it and think, well, normally that could send me bonkers and just go, God, the world's a mess. And I just go, what does it matter? We're on a little blue orb suspended in a sunbeam. And then that's when I just make peace with it and go, well, where does your consciousness go when this world ends? And then you go, ooh, where does that go? And I was like, I don't know, but just enjoy this bit. And if I could teach that to my kids, I think I've done a good job as a dad. I never had any of that taught to me. You know, it's get a job, settle down, eat your food, you know, it's just control, all fueled out of fear, you know, and there's some of that still comes out of me with my children, but I'm trying to push all that stuff aside and let them find their own way. You know, at the end of the day, they're going to find their own way, and that's all I can do, just make way for them, you know. And when they leave, which they do, I just want them to be, let's just say, as independent as possible, as fast as we can get them there. If I do that, I've won as a dad. That's it. And my parents pretty much did that with me. They just stepped aside and let me get on with it. You know, they were very, very forthcoming with you know, helping me explore myself, so to speak. You know, I was a shit as well. I would push the limit of just about everything. You know.
In what way?
I didn't like being told what to do. Like my freedom a lot. You know, I was curious. I liked to find out about things. I liked people a lot. I liked friendships. I recognized the benefits of having good friends and having best friends and all of that type of stuff. And was just I think because my mum and dad were kind of trying to let me grow, but at the same time, you know, wanted me to be safe. It was almost like the perfect balance, even though my mum didn't agree with a lot of things that I did. You know, she was like just protective, as my wife is with our kids. You know, and that's her job. That's what she wants to do. I don't stand in the way of that. I don't say, oh, don't be so protective. It's like, if you want to helicopter parent him, do it. You know, it's like, that's for him to decide how he responds, not anybody else's. I think, yeah, I had a good childhood. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. You have 3 sons?
Yes. Yeah. 11-year-old and then twins that are 10. Yeah. So we had three children in 18 months. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that freaks people out. They go, what? 3 in 18 months? It's like, yep. 1 and then twins. Yeah.
Yeah. And also highly sensitive?
Yes. All 3 of them. Yes. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah. If I argue with my wife, all 3 of them lose their fucking minds. They're like, and I think it's because they've been exposed to parents splitting up from friends, so they know that that's a thing. So if they see us argue, which is rare, or if they see us having and we rarely argue, but if there's a heated debate, they initially worry, mum and dad are going to split up, you know, and so we go calm them down. Say sometimes parents have, you know, a different way to talk to each other. That's not normal. We want to get back to normal behavior, and we're staying here. And we just reassure them, and they go back to normal. Then, you know, they're great with it. I hope. I just but my biggest fear is like causing damage to them subliminally. You know, like it keeps me awake at night. It's like, God, is the shit that I'm doing right now gonna fuck them up later? You know, I hope it doesn't, so to speak. You just hear such horror stories, and it's that's my biggest fear in life. I'm not afraid of anything other than that. You know, if my shit gets put onto them and then they take that and it starts to derail their lives, I'll just be like, shit, how do I fix that? It's like, well, be better, you know. And be better isn't be a fit, rich, you know, time rich sort of dad and all that. It's like, be comfortable with who you are and show them that. And if I can show them that and let them have the space to be who they want to be, I've done it. I think, you know, it's like they're them, they're not me. You know, don't be me. And it's like I'm constantly catch myself like giving them shit that's mine, not theirs, good and bad. And I'm like, you decide. So it's like, you know, things take time when you go down that route. Everything's slower, like way slower. I could just tell them what to do. And sometimes I do, like, get in the car, we're going to be late. You know, it's like, don't make a big deal out of it. You know, I think the more chilled you can be with stuff, the more your kids pick up that tone. Like most shit don't matter. Don't make it a thing, you know. And some shit does matter, and that's what you think of yourself. I think the two in business, the two biggest problems I see are I'm not good enough. Like I'm not enough is I'm not good enough, but I'm not enough, and I'm worried what people think about me. And I'm like, if I can help my kids have a healthy relationship with both of those two things, I think I've done a good job at getting the two biggest problems out of the way, because they'll know who they are and they'll appreciate who they are, and they won't let the world tell them who they think they are or who they want them to be. It's like, and I'm quite passionate about that with them. I'm like, you don't let anybody tell you who you are. You tell yourself who you are. And let me tell you, you're also always enough. You might have a little bit more to go. You might not got quite enough done today, but that doesn't mean you're not enough. There's work to be done. You'll have time, get on with it, but you are enough. And don't you dare let anybody tell you that you're not, you know? And you know, if they do, you send them my way and I'll deal with them. Like, you know, that say dumb shit like that to them. I says, but just remind yourself this. And I just, if they can do that, we're on the right track, you know. And I think that just needs a dad to be, I'm not always their friend. I'm friendly, but I'm not always their friend, because I say shit that they don't want to hear. You know, like that's just how it's got to be. It's like I'm there to, you know, stop them stepping on landmines, you know, in life. And it's like, hey, son, I've done that before, and that was a you know, that was a struggle, that was a problem, that caused an issue. So I'm going to be friendly and nice to them, but I'm not always going to be their friend. I'm going to be their dad. And their dad has a particular role to do, which is to help them experience stuff, set them free, you know, help them, you know, be as independent as possible, as fast as possible, and help them understand that they know who they are and they know that they're enough. And I just think in the process of all of that, if you can just get out of the way for the most part and let the cards fall where they may, be patient. There's plenty of time, you know. They go through phases and it's brilliant. One minute they're like this, next minute like that, and I have to just step back. Don't take this too literally. When I started off as a dad, I took everything literally. It's like I had Asperger's. It's like one minute they're like, I hate you, and then you give them the sweetie, and I love you, and I'm like, what the fuck are they? What? Like, it's like psychological warfare. It's just horrible. I'm like, God, if this is parenthood, I don't want it. It's just is a nightmare. Like, and it's like I was like a little boy trying to help little boys show them how to be little boys. I was like, what am I doing wrong here? And it's like, you're not doing anything wrong. You're just doing things that you don't need to do, which is take everything literally. You know, like for the most part, I would say, you know, the kids don't know what they want and what they don't want half the time. They're just testing the waters. So don't put too much into it, you know, but then you'll know when they're really into something. They'll let you know when they're really, really deeply into something. You know, you can just tell, and it's for the rest of it, it's let them try everything. Let them have a go, you know.
Yeah. I like it. You also do that in your work, where you ask, are you really in there? Who's in there? And the authenticity and getting that how do you say that quirkiness out of people, and reverse that into something that they can expand within their work and within visibility.
Yeah, totally. People come into my work landscape with a lot of baggage, and again, I don't make an assumption, but there's a pattern between I'm not enough in some way, so scarcity, and I'm afraid of what people might think. So, my job is to help people show up on video and promote themselves with their business, tell stories, be themselves, do it consistently. And that's like asking people to do a public speaking gig in front of 1 million people or 7 billion, however many is on the internet. It's like, fuck, that's a lot for you to sort of deal with. And I'm like, well, don't worry. People who don't like you won't be there. Just move on. They're not there going, I need to be offended and stay here and tell this person I don't like them. They don't. They move on just like we do. It's like, nope, 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 nope. Just flick by. No, not listen to this person, not listen to this person. Because we don't give a shit. We ain't got the bandwidth to do it. We're looking for something that we want to feed ourselves. And I say to people, if you feed people poison, you're going to poison them. So give them the truth. The truth will set you free. It'll set them free. Life's easier. Obviously, there's a lot of marketing involved in building a business. All this. And I said, look, you can do hardly any marketing if you're yourself, you show up consistently, and you tell great stories. I said that'll do most of the heavy lifting in the getting to know you, like you, and trust you. I said marketing after that's pretty easy. The amount of marketing you have to do after that is usually this much. Whereas most people are using every tactic and strategy and marketing plan to try and get someone across the line. And it's like, where the fuck are you in this? No wonder you need all these goofy tactics and strategies. It's like, just show up. You don't need to do half of that crap. And it's easier, but for some people, that's too much to ask, and that's fine. But for others, they're curious, like, how have you done this?
Yeah.
Just leaving video voicemails is all it is.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine that you have a highly sensitive person who is afraid to become more visible online. What would be the path when they work with you?
Yeah, we had a few like, I don't know if introvert is a professional diagnosis, but they come with the I'm an introvert, and I'm like, well, prove it. Like how do I know? Do I need to know? It's like, are you setting up the conversation for I'm not going to do this? And I'm like, look, if you don't want to do it, don't. Like just, it's cool. Like, on your way, go find something that you want to do. But I need them in the first instance to actually want to overcome the problem that's causing it. Like, so I won't work with anybody that shows me resistance. And I'll find out real quick, because I'll just get straight to the case. Do you want to do this? Yes or no? No, don't give me, 2 lines bullshit. Do you want to do this? Yes or no? And if they say yes, I go, why? Just like a child would. Why? Why do you want me to put my shoes on? Why? Just like, give them it straight. And I said, look, I'm leveling with you, level with me. And they'll say something like, I want to be more confident. I want it to be easier. I'm like, great, let me show you. Let's take one step at a time. What I learned early doors was I wanted to show people how to make very technically challenging videos with lots of equipment and editing and thinking out the story. And it's just like, fuck, this barrage of stuff. And I learned really quickly that nobody wanted that. So we kind of filtered it right down to, my thing is, hey, you got one of these? And they're like, yep. I go, have you got a thumb? And they go, yeah. I said, can you count to 4? And they go, yeah. I go, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how you make videos. Like, there's nothing else to it. That's it. And they go, well, there is something more to it. And I go, I'm listening. As the expert, I'm listening. There's more to it, is there? And they go, yeah, I've got to know what to say. And I go, okay, are you ready for the next thing? And they go, yeah. I go, did something happen? And they go, what do you mean? I said, did anything happen in your past? They go, yeah. I said, tell them about it. It's simple. There's a story somewhere, right? We probably have 5 memorable big stories, like births, weddings, deaths, new jobs, a success, a major loss, like whatever. It's like, look, there's a story. People like stories. They don't like information. Tell them a story. And they go, so, got one of these? Yes. Can count to 4? Yes. Got a thumb? Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tell them what happened. Any more questions? And they go, yeah. Even though I know what to do now, I'm still not going to go do it. And I go, really? Why? They're not enough, and they're worried what people might think about them. And then there's the 2 problems yet again. Yeah. So that shit's easy. My kids can do the story bit. And they do. They've made little videos and then got an editing app and downloaded it, and they're 10 and done it themselves. And I've not taught them anything. And I've got videos with 20 million views and professionally edited that I made. And I'm like, well, my kids are doing it, you know, like, and then I'm like, what's wrong with us adults? What have we done here? What have we done to ourselves to stop us doing this? And we're completely worried what people might say about us. Well, very few people wake up and tell themselves who they are, but they're willing to go on the internet and let everybody who they don't know, complete strangers, tell them who they are. You're like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, let's stop that. And the minute that you know who you are, you have a definition, if you will, of who you think you are or who you want to be or whatever, it doesn't matter. That becomes a force field. It's like, hey, you know, I appreciate your judgments of me or your definitions of me, but I don't need them. I woke up this morning and said, this is who I am. And it's like, have some values, have a mission or a purpose in life. And that's a start. That's all you need. You know, my 3 values: joy, truth, and love. You know, my purpose, to touch people positively. That's it. People touch people, but it's to touch people in here. That's my aim. That's why I tell stories and teach people, and that's why I'm a dad, and that's why I'm a drummer. I mean, does any part of music touch people more than the drummer? You know, like, and no one says, yeah, I really felt that guitar in my chest when they go to a gig. No, you feel one thing in your chest, and it's me at the back hitting that kick drum with everything I've got in my right foot, and all you feel is this. So, you know, and I'm like, gosh, since I was 13, I was touching people, you know, playing behind massive PA systems and touring with people like Radiohead and playing live with bands like Iife, and just like, it's awesome. You know, and you see all of these parallels, you know, hey, what's your why? And I remember trying to craft this real fancy why. I imagine a world. And I was like, fuck all of that. It's just to touch people. I like hugging. You know, I like emotions. I like that sensitivity. And it's like, that's life. That's the essence of life is in that, you know. Nobody marries anybody because they're punctual. It's like, what? I really love her. She's really punctual. Like, what? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you really love her is what you were saying there. You know, that it's the emotion, not the practicalities of life. So for me, emotion and touching, storytelling is a natural field for me to get into. Music, being a dad, you know, just certainly helping people with their inner game. I love helping people transform out of not being enough and not having a definition of who they are, and then flipping both of those. Yeah. You know, and the answer to not being enough is so bloody piss easy and simple. It's just to appreciate. And people go, oh God, what's this? Another, The Secret. Is it something else? I says, no, not at all. I said, like, if something's not enough, you sure as shit don't appreciate it. And if something is enough, you will absolutely be appreciating it, maybe subliminally or thoughtfully and consciously. And that's all you got to do. Like that's the antidote. Like, that's the vaccine to your life being fucking awesome. Like, I just don't feel I never got enough done. I didn't get enough rest. Imagine living like that, just with those two. I never got enough done and I don't have enough rest. Like, you're fucked all day. Like just consistently, just with that one. And I'm like, oh, good God, like, please, like, stop doing that. Like, appreciate what you got done and appreciate the rest that you do have. How do I do that? Well, appreciation is just a little foot soldier of love. So love your fucking life, love yourself, like, show some kind of, compassion and empathy and emotion and appreciation and gratitude and fucking whatever else, care, like passion towards it, and stop being in fear. The polar opposite of love is fear, and fear sort of doesn't do any of those things I've just said. It does the polar opposites, and you can see people's fear just in their body language these days. So yeah, and then get a definition of who you are, get a couple of values under your belt, have a purpose in life that you get up for every day. I have 3 businesses, 3 kids, busy. I'm busy as a busy bee. Yet my values and my purpose is the same, to touch people. I help people with story and video and all that, but I've got a small property portfolio. So, and the whys are the same. Make them have a good home, help these people show up, touch them both positively. It's if something breaks at the house, I fix it immediately. It's like, there you go. How do you feel? It's like, I feel great. You're a great landlord. Like, oh, awesome. It's like that. I want that to happen. I can fix the problem. I just want them to feel good, that they feel cared for, So my purpose is to touch people, and my strategy, if you like. So the cause is to touch people positively, and my strategy is to give a shit. It's to care. You don't need a bigger strategy. You don't need some complex shit. Touch people, care. Touch people, care. Touch people, care. Touch people positively. Give a shit about them. Like there's nothing else to do, you know. And then when you are fucking life up, you're definitely not doing either of those two. Like, you can absolutely just get right to the nitty-gritty of what you're doing wrong in life. It's like, I'm not caring, and I'm not touching people positively. I'm doing the opposite. It's like, well, hey, I've got some advice. What? Stop doing that. Like right now, just stop doing it. Your life gets 50% better overnight. You know, it's kind of farcical that we need. But certainly for me, I can't say for everybody, because I have benefited from mindset coaching and having my psychology unpicked until I understood about consciousness. But for the most part, it's like, hey, do you do dumb shit that you know is dumb shit? And people go, yeah, I do dumb shit. I know it's dumb shit, and the outcome is more dumb shit. And I go, okay, here's a strategy. Stop doing dumb shit. And people go, what? I go, if you don't even have to do anything. You're actually stopping doing stuff. You'll actually have a ton of time and space left. And you go, well, what do I fill that with? And that's actually fearful for people. It's like, oh, what do I do? So I don't give a shit, do what you like, but just don't do the dumb shit. And by stopping doing something, basically by doing nothing, your life gets 50% better. Like, I should write a book on that and just sell it and just go, hey, I guarantee I'll make your life 50% better. Stop doing dumb shit. On page 3, nothing. Page 4, nothing else. It's just like, you know, the logic of it, it's so farcical and so beautiful and so funny all at the same time. And it's like, if you can look at it lightheartedly and look at your life, you go, it's actually really good. It's good. It makes common sense, you know. But we're not common sense creatures. We're emotional creatures. So I try and make people laugh with it. People remember you if you make them laugh, and that's me touching them positively again. You know, don't take yourself too seriously. You know, it's like there's not a shred of evidence to suggest that you should. You know, it's like I take my work seriously, and I take what I'm doing seriously. I don't take myself seriously. You know, I'm a piece of energy in a meat bag that has thoughts and emotions, and no one can explain any of it. Don't take any of that seriously. That's weird. Like, you're not important. You know, like, but your energy is at the back. So don't lose yourself in the not important bit. But you're not important in the big scheme of things. You're not. We're all, this consciousness thing is, you know, we're all connected. How the fuck does that work? I ain't got to that bit yet. I'm still trying to wrestle with that. I'm like, so I'm a rock, yeah, on the moon, yeah, that's going around Saturn, yeah. Fuck. I was what? You know, and then it's like, how many planets are in our Milky Way? Like bazillions. And how many Milky Ways are there? Like bazillion gazillions. And I'm like, and I'm all of that. Like, yeah, we're all part of that. And I'm like, all right, I give up. I'm going to have a sandwich. And I just come back to Earth and deal with that. And then as a problem comes up, let it go. Let it go. You're part of everything. And I'm like, yeah, you sound like a hippie, dude. And I'm like, I just don't broadcast this crap in a sort of hippie way. I think once people start getting into this, and then they suddenly start dressing like they're a Jedi, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and wandering the earth like there's some mystical thing, it's like, that's not what this is. Like they've got the most work to do, in my opinion. It's like, hang on, dude, you were just wearing a football shirt a minute ago, and now you're Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, how's this work? I'm not saying they can't do it, but it's just let it be. Let it be in the background. Carry on with whatever your life was, and it just makes it better. So, but each to their own. You know, yeah. I find that shit funny when people start trying to sell it. There's nothing for sale. You know, what you're selling to me, something that I've already got. That's weird. You know, hey, I was telling you how to have your consciousness. It's like, you don't need to sell that to me, mate. I know I'm in here.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got in here. I don't know what happens when my body stops, and I don't know why I'm in here. Can you answer that? Well, every damn scientist that's ever lived has tried collectively to answer that question, and we have nothing. We can't measure it. And each one of them knows that they're in there as well. And they're like, I know I'm in mine. Like Einstein's like, I know I'm in here. I don't know how I got here. I don't know where I go when it's done, and I don't know why I'm here. And then he's turning to the next scientist, and he's going, yeah, the same. And there's no measure, there's no like kind of weird sensor that measures it. It just, but we know, and it's like, wow, this is kind of funny and cool. It's like, our ghost's real. One lives in you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah. You did make an impression with a photo on Crocs and your bathrobe, though.
That's me taking a snipe at marketing.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like, this is how dumb it is. I like bathrobe, pair of socks rubbed, shoved down my underpants. Like in fact, I was thinking it was 3 pairs down there, right? Pair of Crocs, my wife's pink dressing gown with stars on, and my big fat pot belly at the time just sticking out, and me just like, just stood looking at it. It's like, yeah, we made a lot of money off that, actually, which is nuts. It's completely nuts.
Yeah. I'm so loving this because when I followed you, it was already years ago, and then I saw that photo, and I thought, oh my god, does he know that this is ridiculous?
Yeah.
And then you shared my blog about highly sensitive men. I thought, yes, he dares. He is courageous. He's spreading awareness and declaring that he's also a sensitive man. And I really love that.
Well, I think we all are. I think I know some really hard guys, like physically hard. I've got like one of my mum's sisters had 6 boys, and 5 of them were in the army, in the British Army, in the sort of 70s and 80s. So when the Troubles in Northern Ireland, they did a lot of that. Quite a few of them went to the Falklands and were in the Marines and dealing with that. And they were hard men. They were physically hard men. They were all covered in like, tattoos on their hands and whatnot, and up to their necks, and they all sort of smoked and drunk and just swore, and just their hands were massive. They were physically hard men. My dad was the same. My dad is a builder. He's retired now, but massive hands, tattoos, just proper, those types of tattoos. Like Friday night, get your wage slip, get a tattoo. That was the way it worked in those days. And my dad's real mellow. He's real quiet and real sort of just real gentle. But he's like he's this machine when it comes to building. You know what I mean? He's like a hammer. He just his hands are like crocodiles. And so I grew up around this mix match of, and all my cousins that were in the army were all really lovely. They were real loving and huggy and all this lot, but they were killers, trained killers, in the military. So I sort of saw both sides of this weird. I was like, oh, this is weird. I don't know whether, and I nearly joined the army as well. And ironically, I'm like, right, okay, do I join the army? Do I go today? Do I get like, I've finished school. What shall I do? And it's like, just join the army. And I was going to go, or do I be a drummer? Like, which one is it? And it's just like, what? You're going to go do an art. You're going to go be an artist or a trained killer. And I'm like, what a fucking junction road, that was. Because I was fit, I was strong, I took care of myself. I was like 16, 17 years old. And I was just at this junction road. And I think not long after I met my wife. It was like within months. And that was it. I was like, I fucking joined the army. Like, this is great. I went down the drumming route real heavy then in that sense, in the creative route, and just explored that. I dread to think, actually, if I'd have gone in the army, if I'd have lost that side of me, maybe I wouldn't. My wife said, you were that kind of bonkers at that point, you would have probably gone for higher levels in the military, and maybe, I don't know. I think back now, I like to think if I had gone in, would I gone, tried to go up all of the special forces and all that type of stuff. And knowing my character then, I probably would have. I was ambitious, and whether I had it or not, I don't think I had it, but I would have given it a go, Yeah, you just never know. Like, I know I didn't have much of a fighting upbringing, although I was always around, violence and potential violence, and there's a rough and ready council estate, so it was just just what it was. I had a few fights, but it was mainly me getting knocked out. They were bigger, faster, stronger, and I just took it. I was like, oh, whatever. And then they were like, all right. I was like, yeah, I'm good now. Yeah, shake hands, and that was it. I never hit back. I was just like, this will just deal with this. And I've been in a few skirmishes since then as an adult, only one or two in like 30, 40 years. And I'm proud of the fact that I've never had an altercation with anyone. And in all occasions, I just put my hands in my pockets. And I just went, no, I'm not fighting you. Like you're going to be all right. You don't have to do this. And I beat them every time. I beat them with love.
Yeah.
And that's not the best strategy if you're facing someone who's a genuine animal who just won't be reasoned with. But I was shitting my pants, but it worked, on the two occasions where it was going to happen. Yeah. So, and I hope I never have to face that again. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, I think that's maybe a part of me coming out, which is sensitive. It's like, hey, dude, it's like they're only coming at you because they've lost their shit. There's something wrong in their world. My wife's ex-police officer, she did 20 years. And she said anybody that's violent has had violence done to them. She said anybody that just embraces violence, she said they've just had a violent upbringing and they've had it done to them in most instances. So the only way for them to survive that was to do it back. And she said it's sort of super rare that someone's violent later in life that hasn't had it done to them otherwise. So, and that goes right across the spectrum from abuse to whatever, you name it, from substance abuse to if it's physical abuse in whatever context. Yeah, it's tragic. I feel real bad for people that have to go through that, What can you do?
Yeah. So unfortunately, we're almost coming to the end of our conversation.
All right.
And it would be great if our highly sensitive people can contact you, and if they're interested in joining your how would you say, course, program. It's very interesting. So how can they contact you?
Just through Facebook, just through social media. Just look at my name, Mark Whitehand. Personal profile, and it's public, so you can befriend or follow or message. Just make it nice and easy. It's like, I don't make it too difficult. We have some business parts as well, but most people come through the personal side of it. So yeah, it's easy.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your support.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.